Right. So, I will call the meeting to order, and I believe we will start with our national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, a true north, strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
The municipality of Whitestone recognizes all of Canada resides on traditional, unceded, and/or treaty lands of the Indigenous people, Turtle Island. We recognize our municipality on the Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory is home to many past, present, and future Indigenous families. This acknowledgement of the land is a declaration of our commitment and collective responsibility to reconcile the past and to honor and value the culture, history, and relationships we have with one another. I'll now ask if any councillor has a pecuniary interest to declare in today's proceedings.
Mr. Mayor, sorry, I don't have a video as I'm having some technical difficulties here. Hopefully you can hear me though.
I can.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, as been the case on a couple other times, I am going to declare a declaration of interest in regards to line item in the budget of 16-440-4 for the road grants. So if that's spoken to, I will leave the meeting and somebody can call me or email me to let me know to come back in the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Duly noted. All right. Could I get a mover and seconder, please, to approve the agenda as circulated?
I'll move it.
Okay, Councillor Lamb moves and Councillor Gray seconds. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please indicate.
Mr. Mayor, as I,
Oh, you want to do a recorded vote?
well,
Yeah, okay.
it came to my attention, our current procedure bylaw indicates that in meetings where one or more members participate by electronic means, voting will be by roll call. So therefore, every vote will need to be by roll call. And I'm sure we can amend that with the new procedure bylaw, but that's what our current bylaw says. So I'll do roll call if I may. Councillor Gray,
Yes.
Councillor Lamb,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes.
Councillor Woods.
Yes.
Mayor Comrie.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
All right, thank you. We now need a motion to adjourn to committee of the whole for consideration of the draft operating and capital budget. Moved by Councillor Wood, seconded by Councillor Lamb. All right, it's 4:06 PM. Is there any, well, if there's no discussion, we'll ask for the vote again, please.
Counselor Bray,
Yes.
Counselor Lamb,
yes,
Counselor Nash,
Yes.
Counselor Woods,
Yes.
and Mayor Comrie.
Yeah,
That motion is carried.
okay, and that is it for motions until we complete the discussion of the budget. So, you have in the package in front of you a note from our treasurer, who is on the call and available to answer questions. And what you have then is a final the results of a final pass that has been taken on the operating and capital budgets by staff following our last meeting, with a number of changes highlighted in red. And once again, I would hope that we won't have to discuss all of them, but we could have an opportunity, I guess, to talk about any that you think are still not correct. Anyway, I guess I should start by asking our treasurer if he would like to make any, if he'd like to introduce this version of the budget. Manish?
Dear Mayor,
Go ahead, please.
after careful review from the previous meeting we held on April 11, we got feedback from the staff, and also the council member feedback has been taken and updated accordingly with the zero surplus or deficit budget for operating and capital project, with the tax rate increase on only 5.5%. Thank you.
There was a question that I noted when I was reading through your comments, Mr. Treasurer, and you have a sentence that says, in order to meet certain funding obligations, there's a debt financing component of $275,000, made up of $250,000 allocated for the Pool and Wellness Center project and $25,000 designated for a capital project. I think it's two capital projects, but I wondered if you could just identify which two those are in case anybody is wondering about this.
That is for Maple Island, 10,000, 15,000. Then Alt Bridge, 10,000. So total 3 project. One for the pool, 250,000.
Yeah.
So it is coming together 275,000 altogether.
Okay. All right, thank you. Are there any general questions that people would like to ask before we start down the details of the changes to the budget?
yeah, I have one.
Councilor Lamb.
Yeah, thank you. Manisha, well, I called up this afternoon and pre-warned him of this question, so hopefully he's got an answer. I had said, I think in the last meeting, that when push comes to shove, wherever we put monies, and I certainly have some ideas in terms of some of the details, but wherever we put the monies, that the upside for me would be a 6.5% over tax increase to our budget or to the municipal portion. But I noticed that, and again, sometimes the devil's in how you communicate this. I noticed that McKellar, when they advertised their last budget update and agenda, they announced it as a 5.9% increase including the educational tax, which of course is pretty stagnant, if you will, and but it's a clever way of phrasing the tax increase. And my experience on council is, again, that the vast majority of taxpayers look at, if they look at it at all, look at what have my overall taxes gone up. They don't know what's education in terms of what it went up or didn't go up, and what's the municipalities. They just look and say, I paid $1 last year and I'm paying $1.05 this year, so it's gone up 5%, right? So my question to Manish was, what is the figure, the maximum figure that we would get to, say, in our budget overall, percentage-wise, that could lead us to claim the overall tax increase, including education, is 5.9%? What's that percentage?
Through you, Mayor,
Go ahead.
there is only increase in the municipal portion. There is no increase in the school board portion from 2022 for 2023. That will be the same. So there is no increase in the school board portion on the taxes.
No, you're not understanding me, Manish. If we passed let's say we passed a 6.5% increase in our budget, okay, our municipal budget overall, instead of 5.5, that said 6.5. And if you then factored in the school board, which is the same, which has not gone up, but that's roughly $1 million. If you factored that in, what would the overall tax increase be? But what would the overall percentage be for taxpayers?
The percentage I can say for the residential, when we increase at 5.5%, the residential tax will be 0.005247. The education tax remain the same, 0.00153. The total tax for the residential category will be 0.006770706.
Michelle, I asked you this question today. Can you help me out here?
Yes, I understand what you're asking, and I think, I'm not sure the answer that Manish just gave is the answer you're looking for.
I just want to know if we pass 6.5 and someone receives their tax bill and they say, oh, last year I paid $1. Surely to God, it's not going to say this year total I'm paying 106.50. It's going to be somewhat lower than that because of education taxes remaining static.
Right.
And I just want to know what that tipping point is.
What I would suggest, Mr. Mayor, and through you to Councillor Lamb, is that we start the process of looking at the budget document right now. And I'll go offline and speak to Manish, still paying attention to the council meeting, of course. And I'll have a little conversation with Manish. I understand what you're asking, and we'll see if we can get you an answer.
Okay, thank you. And nothing against you, Manish, but I've asked this question lots of times, and I know Barb, for instance, has been through it before, so I don't know what. Barb isn't on the call, or she is?
No, she's not.
Okay. Anyway, that was my question generally. Thank you.
All right, are there any other questions or comments related to basically the introductory part?
If you can hear me, Mr. Mayor, yes, I have a quick little comment.
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. First off, I just wanted to thank staff, Manish, Michelle, Dave, and everybody else that worked on it. I know we've been through a couple revisions of this, and I think we've made really good headway, and a lot of suggestions were taken into account here. So basically, I just want to thank everybody for the work that was put into it. And when we get to a few items, I do have a few comments, but just an opening, I just want to thank everybody. And I noticed it said 5.5%. And I just think that I think we proposed 6.5 in the first couple budgets. And I know that extra income, I'll call it, will help us in the years to come. So I would think, just as a general statement, I'd like to see that number put back up somewhere in the 6%, in the 6 to 6.9%, maybe at 6.5%, finishing, because I think that'll give us an extra plus or minus $31,000 this year and every year going forward. So that's the only comment I have on the opening. So thank you.
Okay, thanks. Anything else from anyone? Okay, hearing nothing, I suggest that there'll be lots of opportunities, of course, for additional comments, but let's work our way through. And again, my suggestion is that we not look at every line item, but look at the ones that have changed, which are in red, and just see if there's any, we'll go through kind of quickly and see if there are any things you will see. There have been some relatively small reductions in a number of relatively small reductions in different things. So if I just kind of go through, there are 19 pages, and page 4, I'm using the red numbering, the numbering of the PDF here. The first one in the general government section, is there anything on that particular page that anybody?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
I'll kick it off. And I think, my comments overall in this budget are going to be minimal. There's, 4 or 5 things that I want to talk to. But first of all, the first thing that comes to mind is line 16,120, which is admin legal expenses. And I think Manish has capsulated it in his memo of, I forget what it is right now. It's already at 33,000, I think, or again, I don't have the verbiage in front of me, but I agree with him that the $11,000 of surplus that we have, or roughly 11,000, should be tagged on to the 50,000 to bring that to 61,000. Okay. I would also put to you that having said that the extra 1%, if we're talking like the 1% from 5.5% to 6.5%, that we take at least 25,000 of that and stick that somewhere between legal expenses and HR contingency. I just know that those are underfunded, and I think that that's where the extra monies should go. One might ask, what would you do with the other $5,000? The difference between 25 and 30,000, which is roughly a 1% increase. I think we have to put it into that 5,000 in the library, because 2,000 of it is for books and materials. That is just because our population went up, we have to pay extra for. So we're either going to cut down on the books and materials we get in the library, which I think is not right. And the second thing is, I think there's 3,000 or so under 3,500 for lights. And again, that's a safety and health issue. The light covers coming in the entrance of the library and other areas need to be replaced. And I would hate to think if one of them fell down and hit someone. It was an oversight when we did the library. It wasn't quoted for some reason, and therefore it wasn't done. So that's where I would spend the other $5,000. And might as well give you my one other comment, and then I can shut up for the next duration, because that's just about all that I really got. The only other thing is, I'm not sure we need to allocate the pool funding for this year. I don't think there's hope in heck that we're going to going to be paying out monies to the pool committee by the end of December. And if so, we could make it into the new year anyway. So, and I think that's optics sometimes more than anything, that we're only borrowing, say, 25,000 in these higher interest rates than 275,000, of which 250 we're not even going to really action anyway. And I don't know, I guess the question to that one is, how much interest has been allocated this year in the budget to offset the cost of that pool? Is that, or has anything been allocated for that? So anyway, those are pretty much all my questions on the whole thing. Sorry for taking so long, but that's, sorry. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Well, we can, I guess maybe we should take these items one at a time. I had certainly flagged the 16,120. And I guess the question is, what do we, the number, if we accepted our treasurer's advice, that number would be, instead of 50,000, would be 61,000, if I'm not mistaken. But I'm still concerned that that might be a low number.
So what number are you talking?
The legal expenses, sorry.
Okay, yeah.
So what do we want that number? Maybe we can just spend a minute. What do we want that number? What do we think that number should be? Should it be 75? Should it be 75,000? Should it be 100,000? What should it be?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, hopefully you can hear me again. Sorry for my
Yes,
video to everybody.
fine.
I guess after hearing Councillor Lamb and yourself, Mayor, I would agree. I'd flagged, I won't go into the other items, but I had flagged that one as well. And I think taking the advice that Manish had said of, if there is a surplus from last year of 11 grand, adding it to it so it becomes 61 grand. And I would then take at least, I think Councillor Lamb had maybe mentioned 25,000 more if we're doing a 1% larger tax increase. And I might suggest bringing that number up to 75,000 total. So if we had 11,000 coming from the surplus, that would be at least another 14,000 at a minimum. I'm not saying it shouldn't go higher, but I'd say at a minimum. And yeah, and just the other part of that was, and sorry to digress just for a quick second, just about the pool. I would agree that if we can remove the pool from a line item for this year at least, knowing that it will be coming, because I don't know if they're going to have this independent study done. If we remove that, we would have been left with only a $25,000 loan for the year. And I think there's a line item, I'm just going to quickly say it, on page 9 of 19, and the debt financing for this year was estimated at $20,095. So basically, if you take the pool out, you'd only have a loan that you'd need of $5,000, believe it or not. And with that 1% tax increase, as long as we can take 5,000 of that 1% and put it towards one of our capital projects, whichever one that made up, either the Alds Bridge, I think was one, and the other was Maple Island, we'd end up without having a loan taken out this year. And I think the public in general would be very, very happy if they looked at our budget and said we weren't taking a loan at such a high rate. And I think that can simply be done by removing the pool for this year for now, which would save 20,000 in the budget under debt financing. And that would also eliminate the $25,000 loan pretty much. So anyways, a couple things moving in parts there. I know I digressed, but again, I'd suggest increasing that legal expenses to 75 total at least. Sorry.
All right, let's, if we can, just do these things one at a time so we don't, we need a number to put for legal.
I don't think 75 is enough, but for what it's worth.
Any other opinions? Councillor Woods?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think whatever money we have left over, we should put as much as we can into our legal. I said that the first couple of budget meetings that I thought we were way low. Legal expenses are always higher nowadays, right? So whatever money we have left over, be it the whole 1% extra, if that's what we're talking, I would say put it in legal. We put it up to 90,000.
Okay, any, who hasn't spoken? Counselor Ray.
I'm certainly in agreement with that too, that we put the surplus there. And if we are going to increase, which I'm okay with increasing the to the 6.5. If we are going to, I'm in agreement with putting the money in there as well. I think we need to make sure that we have that adequately costed out. Or thanks.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes,
if we are going to follow through with 5,000 going to the library, you know, what I talked about, then that figure in legal should be 25 on top of the 61. So that would be 86 or 85,000 instead of 90. And I think, you know, that we're in the area we should be. The thing about legal bills is you can't stop, right? You can't say, okay, we want no more legal advice. You know, we're going to stop in September because we're out of money. So
Yeah.
it's just going to be what it's going to be. But I think between that and some of the legal expenses that we have, even surrounding our union contract negotiations, where we have a lawyer obviously at the table, and you know, we had a full day the other day, and there's another day coming. That isn't cheap. So when you take a look at all the things that are on the go, I think 85 is truly the right number there. I guess we can go back and ratchet it back later if we need to, but I honestly feel that's the right way. And if it doesn't matter if you're over on the HR contingency and under on the legal, they kind of offset one another, right? In terms of the whole budget. So anyway, that's I think I'm agreeing with Councillor Woods, and I think Councillor Bray. So thank you. And
Well,
Councillor Nash, I think.
can we settle at, I guess my question is, can we settle at 85? Is that consensus? I wanna,
Yeah, could I just say one real quick thing?
yeah,
I have no problem with that in essence. So basically would be taking the 50 and adding 25 from the 1% that we might increase and 11 grand from the surplus. The only thing I'd say to that, if 5 grand is going to go to the library, which I agree with, if we can just think when we get to the debt financing line item, if there's any way we can find 5,000 more dollars, because if we take the 20,000 from debt financing out and 5,000 more out towards capital, we'll have no loan whatsoever. So maybe if we left it at 80,000 plus, that would give us an amount to not have a loan whatsoever, if that makes any sense.
okay, well, I am just, yeah, I'm not sure. I think we have to come back to that when we, in a minute, but I'm not sure if your assertion is correct about the debt financing. My understanding was that there was no debt financing in nothing in operating to finance the debt for the pool. I mean, maybe the risk of jumping ahead, perhaps our treasurer can answer that, because that was my understanding. I did not think that the 250,000 had any impact. It was just simply a play, you know, it's kind of like a placeholder in the sense that it's based on the fact that theoretically we could be asked for that money in this fiscal year, but if we are, it's going to be at very, very close to the end of the year, and probably by the time it was actually financed, it would be in the next fiscal year. So I didn't think there was any money. So okay, any actual interest. or principal payable on a loan related to the pool in this budget. So that's my question for the treasurer. Is there anything there or not?
Through your mayor, the
ahead.
loan will be taken, when the loan is taken, only the interest portion will be calculated for the period. If it is taken today, it will be for 8 months. If it taken for in the month of November, it will be 2-month interest. And after, when we convert to the debenture, there will be principal plus interest will be charged on the particular amount of loan what we taken.
But my question is there anything currently in the budget for the, is there anything, any carrying charges for that loan in this year's budget right now?
Yes,
How much?
I can say around 15 to 16,000, because the 25,000 if I leave, there's a 250 is a interest fees charged on the approximately.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, on line, if everybody turns to page 9 of 19, that might
Just
help.
let me
Page
get there.
Page 9 of 19, just below line item 16-441-13, you see XXX-XXX debt financing 2023 interest,
Where
20,000.
are you, Scott? Sorry.
Page 9 of 19.
Yes.
About a quarter of the way down, below line item 16-441-13. You see
Yeah, I see
debt
12,
financing,
yeah.
13, yes, yes.
20,000, that's what I was saying earlier, 20,095. So if we can eliminate that and you take 5,000 from the 1% tax increase, you'd eliminate the $25,000 loan as well, right?
Through you, Mayor.
Mm-hmm.
And also I want to factor in that particular interest rate. We done a facility renovation last year and we budgeted that we are going to do a debt financing. Last year, we didn't done the debt financing for that. So that finance we have to do by this year, otherwise it will affect our financially. So the amount of total debt financing is $463,734.26. That includes for the facility renovation, and few of the road we didn't get financed. We didn't got either a debenture or we didn't got any finance of the grant for that. So total debt financing is $463,734. That is interest calculation of 6.25 on that, 6.5. So that is going to come around 22,000.
But Manish, so sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. Manish, very simply, if we said, take the pool out altogether this year.
Yeah.
Are you telling us that we, in essence, would save $16,000 in this year's budget?
No, it will be 12,000 approximately half, because the debt financing I factor is 453,000. That include a previous year facility renovation.
I'm
and
just talking the pool. I'm just talking the pool. So
I
we
can
just said,
say
if we just said,
approximate-
just hold on, we said, Manish, take the pool out. Pool doesn't exist. So we don't need to finance that 250,000 this year. What would that decrease our budget by? 12,000 or 16,000 or?
Can I get
Okay.
back to you in a few minutes on this?
Okay.
You Mayor?
Okay, yeah,
I'll get
thanks.
you the number.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, Manish, if you're going to look into something, I'll just ask one more question. Maybe you can look it up at the same time. I'm sorry, a little perplexed here. I'm reading a cover letter, page 3 of 19, that says, in order to meet certain funding obligations, there's debt financing component of 275,000. But now we're talking 462,000. Where is it in our cover letter? It says we're actually taking out loans for 462,000. I've been looking at this for the last week and a half, thinking we're taking out 275,000, when in actual fact, you're saying there's 462,000.
275 new money.
That was previous year budget, we already factored in the previous year budget. That's the reason that is not included. That was been debt finance previous year, but unfortunately, we didn't done a debt financing for that particular amount. It's a council decision. If you don't do that, that will affect the cash flow of the municipality for the current year, current fiscal year.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we still, I guess we need to know that what the number is, but it sounds like the 20,009,515 that is in on that page is not, some of that is we need to find out how much, but some of it is already committed from financing that things that we did work that we did last year that has to be financed. So it's not going to disappear. It's not going to go to zero if we don't do the pool and if we don't have to pay anything towards the pool or towards Alds Road Bridge or Maple Island, there's still going to be something there, some portion of that 20,000 there. So that's what we're going to try and find out. We'll put it back till we get to the capital part of the budget. So, all right, let's go back to the page we were on. I'm showing the legal expenses at $85,000 for the moment. Is there anything else on that particular page?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I have just two other little quick questions. And I'm not sure if Michelle's back on the call now or not, but if she's not, maybe we'll come back to it. But one of the questions, and I'm not questioning the value, it was just, I know earlier under admin salaries and benefits and admin benefits, it said there was a 45% increase. I don't know if there's any, did we go out and I guess get a new provider and that's why it's up 45%? That's my only other question on that page. And I guess that admin benefits, that's for all employee departments. I'm assuming it's just under one header, if I'm correct.
No, it's just under general government, I think.
Yeah, that's what I meant, just in one spot. Sorry, Mr. Mayor, through you.
No, but all right. Madam CAO, are you on the call?
Yes, I am. Through you, Mr. Mayor.
This is the 59, this is the line at 16-100 that was reduced by $8,846. Can you just tell us how that happened or what?
Well, I don't believe that was Councilor Nash's question, but I'll answer that as well. We revisited salaries and salaries, and we looked at, we had budgeted a student for the summer in the office, and that's fairly typical. It's not likely we'll get a university student, so we rebudgeted that for a 2-month student. We will get a grade 12 student, perhaps someone that can be here for July and August. So we were able to reduce that, and Manish looked at salaries once again, and we just did some fine tuning. As far as benefits go, what I can tell you is that we did get a new provider last year. And this is not a new provider. The 45% recognizes the increase in the use of the benefit package. So assumptions are made by our providers in terms of the use of the benefits. And then when it increases significantly, they obviously don't want to lose money. And they found there was a significant increase, and it had to do, with certain employees and have certain needs, whether it's, typical as prescription drugs. And so the use of the plan required them to make an increase so that they did not lose money. And there was a reasonable amount of money in there. It didn't cover, tell you the truth, the complete costs, because we are in a we're with a group of people who use benefits, and so there's a plus and minus. But it's basically has to do with the usage of the benefit package and some significantly increased costs related to some medications that people are clearly entitled to have, and they simply cost money. I believe benefits are also accounted for, and Manish is on the line, under Public Works. No, it's not there. Manish, are you there? Are you just calculating?
Yeah, tell me.
Oh, okay. So the benefits, the admin benefits, does that does that include?
It's
All
only
of us-
benefit for the admin staffs, not roads, other staffs. No, other staff benefits are already added on the. On their
So that's
salaries.
included in the salary line, is
Yeah.
what you're telling me.
Correct.
Okay. Okay.
Through you, Mayor,
Go ahead.
I have an answer for Councillor Lamb's question initially. When we combine together tax rate for education and general residential, multi-residential purpose taxes. When I
Yeah.
calculated, right now we are factoring 5.5% increase for the residential municipal portion only. When we compare in the last year tax rate combination of education and municipal tax is a total of tax rate is 0.0065035 increase. So right now, when we increase to 5.5, the increase will be 4.2% if you increase 5.5% on the residential side. And same time, if you increase the tax rate to 6.5% for the municipality, education rates remain the same. So the increase factor from the previous year tax rate to current year, it will be 4.9%. It's a combination of together. I just made a comparison for the previous year and current year. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So Manish, just so everyone's clear, sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. Manish, just so everyone's clear. So if we take this up, just leave the education where it is, of course, and we take our budget from 5.5% increase to 6.5% increase, you're telling us that overall, once education is factored in, the overall increase will be only 4.9%?
Yeah, because we are combination together, then after we are comparing on the previous year, it will reduce us because we are factoring both the fact number together. That's
No,
what.
I'm pleasantly surprised with that number. I just want to make sure that we're accurate there because we set a budget that isn't. This is pretty important.
Just in a ballpark, it's a 4.9%. If it is a.
So
get increase, no.
So basically what you're saying is when we factor in education taxes, that the municipal increase goes down by approximately 1.5%. Is that correct?
Approximately. Yeah, because we are correct, we are taking education tax as a stagnant factor and municipal rate is increasing 5.5. And we are comparing on the previous year residential tax. That's why it is coming below than what we say 5.5 or 6.5. So that is going to be 4.9% if you increase municipal portion 6.5%.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I just say
right.
one thing to that, Mr. Mayor?
Hmm?
Could I just say one thing to that, if I might, Mr. Mayor?
Go ahead, please.
Thank you. Manish, thank you very much for pulling those numbers together in short order there. I think that's fantastic if a 6.5% increase only works out to be 4.9%. And like Councillor Lamb said, if that would equate to about a 1.5%, not reduction, but I'll use reduction in what people see overall. And based on that, in all honesty, if McKellar's at 5.9%, I think Councillor Lamb had mentioned after the school board's taken into effect, I know money is going to be a hard item for our municipality in the years to come. We have a lot of work to do. I think 4.9% would be absolutely fantastic for everybody. But I also think even if we got that number up to somewhere in the 5%, even if it was 5.9% overall, that would give us even more money, more room to do jobs this year, more room to put into our reserves. So maybe overall we can have a discussion at the end that maybe if we work to a 5.9% after the school board's put in, that would give us even more money in the years to come. Just a thought for everybody as we go through the budget.
All right, thank you. Let's keep going if we can. Can we go to page 5 of 19? Is there anything on? I don't. Oh, there's a. That's pretty much all fire department. There was a 5,000. There was one item that was reduced. Well, that's the fire vehicle equipment reserve was reduced by $5,000. That's the only change on that page.
Yeah.
Any questions or comments on that page?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just one really quick comment, and it just comes back to what I just said. I think when we work all the way through this at the very end, I'm just flagging it, our asset management reserves. I know we're taking more money out of our reserves than we're putting in, but if we did any additional tax increases after we've taken the legal and stuff and done everything there, if there's any further one, I think we might think to add something into there, even a couple thousand, whatever we could put into there, just something to think about when we're all done here. That's all.
Okay, well, yeah. I think that's a separate discussion for the end, maybe we can have, but so anything related to these these are all still, there are a few changes. If you look at page 6, there's a few more changes in fire as well. I consider them all just tweaks. Okay, so if there aren't any there, that would take us to page 7, which is where transportation is. So looks like wages have gone up, training has gone down somewhat. A few minor adjustments there, culverts and things. Any comments on that particular page? That's page 7 of 19.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if I might.
Yeah.
2 very quick questions. One of them would just be under line item 16-300, the roads wages. Not for now, but maybe for the final budget when it comes back. No, not changing or increasing or lowering any of the numbers there, but similar to what was done under, let me just find it here, under admin 16-100, where it said salaries and benefits, and then there was a line item below it, admin benefits. Maybe for the roads department, maybe we can do the same, separate the wages from the health benefits and just put them as 2 separate line items just for accounting purposes, nothing more. And then the only other line item that I had was boat launches. I think it's great that we increased it by $4,500. I think if we leave it there this year, that's fine. But I would like to see that number go up in the following years. But I understand, David has mentioned he can get everything done for that much this year, which is great. But in the years to come, I think we just have to look at that a little bit closer. But for this year, I think it's great that we have that number in there now. So.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything else on page 7? All right. On page 8, Again, some very minor tweaks. $1,000 total, $1,000 reduction on different things. Any comments? No?
So what is that 20,000? It should have created.
Right. I don't know, George, you're the engineer. Sorry, someone's talking there. George, you're the engineer, but I really want to, when we get to the end, really think through this because the school board is 970, I'm going back to what Manish was saying. The school board's basically $980,000. And the total is 7.3 million with the school tax in there. So the school tax is 1/7 of that number, and which is 14% roughly. And I don't get how the taxes can go down 1.5%. I just anyway, if it's right, fabulous, but man, okay. I'm not a mathematician, but you are, George, you're an engineer. Maybe you can look on eventually at page 12 of 19 and we can make sure, because this is pretty important. Anyway, sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, okay, well, let's, all right, we'll come back and we'll try and do a quick calculation and see what I can.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so that,
And just through you, Mr. Mayor, if there's going to be any conversation regards to line 16-440-4 for the road grant, I know it's on this page, so I'll leave if anybody brings it up, just as forewarning to everybody.
What
right.
page again are we on? 7? No. What page?
8 is page 8 of 19 is the roads grant, and I think I believe that the number we settled there was what we settled in the previous discussion. There isn't any change to it, so unless somebody is proposing a change, I don't think we need to discuss that one.
No, as long as it encapsulated what it did the last time.
Yeah.
Which was the increase plus new roads. As
Yeah.
long as that's encapsulated in there, then okay, that's fine. The new number is 94,000, right?
Yeah, 94,062.71.
Okay, thank you.
So if we go to page, that would be page 9 then, and that's where we were before, which was we did have this 20,000, and I guess the real question is, what we wanted to find out was whether if the pool were not, if there is no effect of financing of the $250,000 for the pool in this fiscal year,
Mr. Mayor,
what would that number 20,095.15, what would it be?
If I may, jump in just really quick, to maybe help out Manish a little bit, although I see Councillor Woods has his hands up.
just one quick one. Councillor Nash left the call because I think we were going to start talking about the road grant. So can we take a second? And I notice he's not on the screen.
Right.
Well,
You are
before-
correct. Okay, sorry, we're not talking about it, are we?
I don't have anything to
Is
say.
anybody going to, sorry, I,
Well, we talked about it. I clarified, right? That's probably at the point he thought we were talking about it. But
maybe he did. Okay, well, I think we're done with, we're not proposing to change the number, right? So,
no,
all
Let
right,
me,
so, well, I guess somebody should just text him and let him know that we're done with it. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't notice that he'd gone. I thought, since we weren't gonna have a discussion.
I'll send him a text. Mayor.
So maybe we'll just stand by with my comments about the debt financing interest. So Councillor Nash
Yeah.
here's,
Yeah, I think we better do that. Sorry.
what page is
Thanks.
that again, Michelle?
it's page 9. Counselor Lamb?
Thank you.
And it's up close to the top of the page there. It's in red.
Oh,
It
I
says
see it.
XXX,
Yeah.
XXX debt financing 2023 and all we. Anyway, we'll wait till.
Through your mayor,
Just a second, we're gonna wait till Councillor Nash comes back. Okay, it looks like he's back now.
So just for clarity, before our treasurer jumps in, what Manish just explained to me is that he actually did consider debt finance, that 250,000 for 8 months. And for those of you who I told something different, there was a miscommunication at this end. So there is 8 months worth of debt financing for that $250,000. And that clearly can be removed because if, even if we did pay it, we're looking at November, late October, November, from everything I know about the Pool and Wellness Center. So I'll ask, Manish will be able to tell you what that 8 months worth of debt financing looks like in a dollar amount. And then that provides some freeboard for you. So hopefully I explained it well. Manish, over to you.
through your mayor,
Go ahead, please.
if you're financing for 3 months, it will be around $4,062.50. The interest factor we are calculating around 6.5%.
Okay,
And
but
you
what if
have
we're
how
not,
much-
what if we're not financing the pool at all in 2023? What does that 20,095.15 become? If you just
We are
take the pool
deducting
right out of it,
through your mayor,
yeah?
we are deducting around $10,833 from the debt financing. So around we are left with 11,000 approximately ballpark.
So
The
it's about-
11
so instead of 20,000, it would be about 11,000 is what you're saying.
Yeah,
But
around
the-
10,800 will be for the pool approximately.
Okay, but Manish, you told us that the total for 275, if I understood you, for 275 was $20,095. And if we take out 250 of that for 8 months, it reduces to only 10,000? For in other words, we're paying $10,000 interest on some capital project for $25,000? That makes no sense.
Through your mayor.
Yeah.
I explained previously, there was a facility renovation finance of 155,000. which should
Okay,
be
I
done
apologize.
last year. We didn't done that. And we had
Okay,
to finance current year. That is why that is not in this part of
Okay,
budget for the year 2023, because we already factored in that in 2022.
thank
there's
you,
a-
Manish. I apologize. I
There is a-
thought I heard it differently, but good for
There
you.
is a-
Thank you for clarifying.
There is a few road also, we didn't got finance around 35,000. That is also going to be debt finance. So around $188,734. That is commitment from the previous year. That is not financed.
All right, so if we take the pool out entirely, then the 20,095 becomes 9,000 or something. Is that 9,200 or no, 993, something like that? Am I right?
Correct, approximately.
20,096.15. I mean, I think that's a little more. Yeah, it's like
Just as you're
20 that's like-
calculating,
That's like 20,100 minus 10,800, so. So it's about $93,000, let's say. All right, so. So that's the number that we have there. So I think we've got that sorted out. What about,
if I might, Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. I'm not sure if I missed something there at the beginning there when I was coming back on the call. But I did pick up the vast majority, I think, of it. Just, I'm still trying to get my head around, and sorry to circle back to it. But from what I understand, the 275,000 that was on our cover letter, there's also, I believe, Manish, you're saying 188,734 from a past year that we need to finance. And I might just offer that maybe in the future, if we still need to finance something, I think it's prudent that we all know and the public knows that there's another 188,000 that has to be financed. When I look at all the paperwork we have today, I don't see that 188,000, unless I'm wrong, showing up on any piece of paper that we have here whatsoever. So I think it's prudent, just for transparency, that we have to make sure that's showing somewhere. I know in our very first budget, we were given an Excel or a summary page. It wasn't Excel, that showed all our loans. So that 188,000 that you'd noted was this debt financing of 275,000 that I see on page 3 of 3 on Schedule B. It says 275,000, but what we're talking about on this line item for $20,000, when it says debt financing 2023, that is not, the 20,095 is not only for the 275 that's shown everywhere. It's actually for a larger number of 462. So I guess my question is, A, going forward, I think we need to show that it's the number is the number. But how many years is that loan? I know you said, I think it was 6.5%, but how many years are we suggesting to amortize that over? Because $462,000 loan, if our debt financing for that is only 20,000 a year, I'm guessing our loan is like 20 years long or something like that.
Mia,
Go ahead.
this part is not in the budget because this is a commitment in the 2022 budget, but we couldn't finance in the year 2022. That's why we are financing current fiscal year. Normally, the loan amount when the debenture will be normally 30 to 35 years amortization. And it's depend on the day when we get to know that it is 30 year or 35 years when you do on the closing day.
Okay, thank you, through you, Mr. So we're taking out a $200,000 loan at 6.5% for 30 to 35 years, if I have this correct.
I don't think that's right.
No, that isn't right.
Isn't that, Manish, maybe you can you just re-go over that? The loan for the remaining 188,000, what's the interest rate and how long are we financing it over again from last year?
So 188,734. It's a facility renovation is 155,192. There is a few project that is a $33,542. That is going to combination of $188,734. This is the commitment for the previous year. In the current year, we are going to finance another 25,000 for the 2 road projects. So that is total debt financing will be for the previous year 188,000, and the current year will be 25,000. The total will be $213,734. The interest rate factor is around, factored around 8 months, it will be $926. I may factor it over 7 months, it will be a little less because we already passed the month of April. So
How many years overall, Manish, to pay it back? Is it 30, 35 years, and what percentage interest rate? Approximately.
the interest rate, I'm only talking about interest. There is no principal has been factored here. It's only the current, when you take the loan, it will be an interest only factor for the particular fiscal year. When debenture is converted in the loan, that comes with the principal and interest.
Yeah, okay.
This
For-
portion is only the interest factor I'm considering for the
Yeah,
current
through-
fiscal year.
Through you,
If-
Mr. Mayor. When we have to pay it back, what is the projected interest rate? and What's the projected amortization? You said 6.5% in 30 to 35 years at one point. So when we do come time to pay it back, not if we're at month 3 or month 4 of the year, how many years to pay it back are we debt financing for that we are estimating, and at what approximate interest rate?
That is the day when we close the deal, we will get to know. I just factor as a 6.5 right now with the Bank of Canada interest. I'm not sure how the Bank of Canada rate will be react after 3-4 months, because the Bank of Canada is really aggressive, and that rate also factored by the debenture closing. So this year is interest rate is very volatile.
But
And
what's the term, Manish, is what
30
Counselor
years.
Nash is asking.
30
30
years,
years?
30.
So any new financing that we're taking on, like the pool or other stuff, we're gonna be borrowing at whatever, 6.5% or whatever the rate is for 30 years?
Correct.
Holy baloney, holy cow. Can we not, why 30 years? Why couldn't we make it 15? Or could we?
I'm not sure about that, but I'll double check on that.
Well, surely to God, they wouldn't, we're not the United States. They wouldn't lock us into a 30-year debenture. Like all our loans are different times, because we buy a truck, we don't amortize it and pay for it over 30 years. We, you know, even the office building way back was 10 years. We chose our term. So I know we have over the years. So anyway, sorry.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, perhaps I could work with the treasurer. I agree, 30 years, it doesn't sound like what the municipality has done in the past. So I think I need a bit of time with the treasurer to sort this out. But
Okay.
what we do know is that there is some money there that was calculated for interest for the pool that is now not needed in the budget, knowing the timeline of the pool construction.
Through your mayor.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I do apologize. It's not 30 years. My apologies. It'll be 15 years or 10 years with the debenture. I just got the documentation. My apology, council member.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah, I don't think that we have ever done 25 or 30 years. I remember thinking of talking about
10 and 15 years. My apologies. Thank you.
yeah, 10, 15, the odd time we've talked about 20 in the past, but not. Anyway, yeah. Okay. So, I think I'll say, I mean, I didn't look at these numbers in terms of what effect a given tax increase on the municipal portion has on the overall tax rate. And I guess my rough cut at it is a little different from Manish's, but we'll come back to that in a minute. When we're ready to wrap up, let's see if we can get through the rest of this. So we're on page, again, page 9 of 19, where there are a bunch of changes. So far, again, we do have a number that's around, it looks like it's, well, that number with the three, sorry, the number with the 3 X's, what do I do with that? It was I think we're back to 10, sorry,
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I just have
$9,300, right? Isn't that what we got? Instead of 20,095, that one's down That number is down, am I right?
We'll get, through you, Mr. Mayor, we'll get that exact correct number, for when you see the budget next on May 16th,
right.
but you're right, it's
All
in that ballpark.
Through,
Okay,
through you,
alright.
Mayor, it will be around, through you, Mayor,
Yeah,
it will be around $8,200 approximately.
oh, 8,200, okay, sorry. All right, well, we won't hold you to it, but that's, I just want to sort of see what else there is on this page, because there's a few other things that are here. So anything else related to the other environmental service items, or just there's a paring back of several items there?
If I might, through you, Mr. Mayor, I just have one other brief comment. And it's in regards to the Benzik monitoring line item 16-484-1, just a small point. I believe when I tried to recall, I think I brought it up last meeting, but did a little bit more thinking on it. And I believe that it's either 2 or 3 years that a lake is looked at for the Benzik monitoring. And if I recall from our committee, one of the lakes has reached that milestone now. And 2 of the other lakes have 1 to 2 years left on it. And unless we pick to do a new lake, that number I don't think needs to be at 6,200. I know we're playing with little numbers, but if we're done one lake, we don't need to pick a 4th lake to start at this time. And that number could probably be brought down to 4,500 or so if staff would like, because one lake has finished. Unless we pick another lake to do, that number will come in less than what's there from last year.
Okay, but I thought this came up before and we decided that there wasn't a lake that was finished.
What, and
Can whoever's tracking this answer the question? And
Through you, Mr. Mayor, we'll do a double check on that. And I think Councillor Nash is referring to Lorimer Lake, but we'll check that with our records, and if we can reduce that to 4,500, we will do so for the last look at the budget on May 16th. So, so as not to hold up the discussions today, we'll make a correction if needed.
all right, so anything else on page 9 of 19? All right, so let's move to number 10 of 19. Anything on page 10? Okay, how about page 11?
Mr. Mayor, through you, just one really quick question, and really more of it's just for conversation of it, because I'm not sure the answer. Item 16-790-4, the swim program. Do we know if that's going to be happening this year? And if it's not, can we take the 4,000 away, or is there still a possibility that it will be happening this year? Does staff know it all by chance?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. At the time we produced this document, we did have the possibility of a qualified swim instructor. So I did a bit of calculating and was able to reduce it by $1,000, even with a swim instructor and having a part-time supervisor. The gal that was interested in providing swimming lessons has taken a job somewhere else. And so we're still advertising, but at this point, I haven't received any further applications for this program. And it may be that we're one more year without the program until we can get enough kids qualified, whereas they're not looking to other municipalities for employment. So to answer your question, we can remove the $4,000 and simply make the decision not to have the swim program this year, or continue to try and recruit and see if we can get someone we also need a supervisor because the challenge we have is it's typically a high school student who's doing the swimming lessons. And we need someone who has some qualifications and maturity about them to have a bit of oversight and interaction with the parents and the registration and supervise that person.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor, this, you know a little bit about this. I've got a whole family of swim instructors and whatever going back 50 years. And I know we've tried hard, but when this program was set up through the Lions, it was simply someone who had some qualifications and could teach. Now that it's set up properly through agencies, there's just not the people out there. And quite frankly, there isn't going to be. And there isn't going to be for Whitestone unless we can come up with some unique solution. There's no way that some qualified lifeguard or person is going to give up their summer to come to Whitestone and get 3 weeks work. It just makes no sense. And that's why you'll have people even come and say, no, I'm out of here now. And, you know, it's designed well, but it's designed that it's not going to be successful. And so I hope to God we find someone. But in the past, when the Lions was running it, they could simply say, oh, Scott, you used to be an instructor 10 years ago. Would you like to do it? Yeah, I'm up here. I'll do it. I don't have all my qualifications, but I'll show you my past qualifications and and they were able to do it, but they didn't have it. I think they had some insurances through the municipality, but anyway, I just, I guess we can leave the 4,000 in. I guess the caution I have is there's not a lot of slack in this budget anywhere. So maybe we need the 4,000 for somewhere else if we don't run a program, because you can make it so tight, you're going to design a deficit, right? So anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Yeah, it's everything that Councillor Lamb said was correct, but it's unfortunate that because we did offer the program for a long time, a lot of people took advantage of it, and so it's too bad. Anyway, I think what will happen, you probably know there's some extra instruction going on in Prairie Sound because they wanted to have people they wanted lifeguards at Wabano Beach, right? And so they took it onto themselves to provide training for people who will then get a job. But of course, they will get many more hours than our swim program would give them. So we're not going to attract any of those people away from. They were virtually guaranteed jobs, right? And there's also some private pools that they could get
Yep.
jobs at too. So, whereas here we don't. Anyway. Okay, so anything else on page 11? How about page 12? Well, that's where the library expenses were, and I saw that $5,500 was taken out of that. I guess I was a little surprised when I saw that.
Yeah, that's what I spoke to through you,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, and that needs to go back in.
Right, that was what page are we on? 12, did I say?
12, yeah. Line 16,
Yeah, I
803.
see it. Yeah, I got it. I got it here. I've got it circled. So we're gonna put it back. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what I suggest anyway.
Well, my inclination. Anybody else want to comment on it? Okay, well, let's keep going. Okay, so after page 12,
Through you, Mr. Mayor, sorry if I might have just had a comment about another item on page 12.
go ahead.
I know I brought it up at the last couple meetings, but I see now that the school board numbers in there of $979,000. And I would really like to see under line item 16-8441, Parkland Reserve contribution. I know there's been some discussion about it. It's a flow through, that we collect some money and then it goes out. But I do think it's important that we do show both on our income and expenses that number. To not show anything as an expense coming out, I think doesn't do justice. And on the other side of that, I think on our income, we don't show it as getting anything. We know roughly from years past, as example, last year it was 40,000. I think the year before that it was 30 something thousand. I do think we need to show that number both in expenses and in income, because we do know there is money flowing through that. So I feel strongly that I think it should be there, and to say we don't want to confuse people by showing it, or it's just an inflow outflow. I do think it's important to show there. So I would ask that staff do put a number that would match both on income and expenses for whatever number we had. I'm just trying to look back on income side. Just let me fiddle through the papers here. I had it flagged, but I lost it. On the income side, it was on page page 17 of 19 on the income side, but it was 28,000 in 2021. It was 35,000 in 2022. So whatever number we decide, I do think we need to put it there. So I don't know if other members of council would like to comment on that at all, or.
I'm sorry, what item is it on page, you said page 17 of?
On page 17 of 19,
Yeah.
there's a line item 15-754, or 753, sorry, Parkland in lieu of payments, and we don't show any income coming in. Even though last year we had 35 coming in, but on our expense page, which was page 12 of 19, we don't show any expenses there either. It's a flow through, but we still do need to show it on both numbers. And last year we left them blank as well. But then at the end of the year, we had a number put in as 40,000. So I do think in order to do a accounting that we should show it on both sides. It should just be the same number. It should match in my eyes. That's all. Because whatever
Okay,
we
so,
collect,
so I have a question for staff. What do we do with that Parkland Reserve? It isn't exactly an in and out, or is it? I mean, what?
Through you, Mayor,
Yes, go ahead.
whatever the fund received by Parkland Reserve, that go to Parkland Reserve. So we have to keep as a requirement by the government. So that fund will be like in and out. And historically, we never show as income or the expense for that for last 3 years. So that is an in and out, but it is the money whatever received, it should be kept as a reserve. Thank you.
Okay, but why doesn't the number just keep going up and up and up? Every year we get like.
We have to spend so much a year.
Okay, but what do we spend it on? What
If
do
you
we
look, I
spend?
think in the capital, it'll tell you some of the things on the right side.
Oh, okay, all right.
We spend it 117,000 on the buying of that land. That is a reserve we are using for the current fiscal year. If you see the reserve balance,
Okay, what page is that on? I'm sorry, I get
page 19 of 19.
19 of 19. Okay, reserves. There we go. Yeah. Parkland closing budget 187.9. Okay, so we've taken it down to,
71.
yeah.
yeah, so through you, Mr. Mayor, just as you're looking there. So I think when it says 2023 budget transfers in, we know there's going to be money coming into it. which would be coming off of line item on page 12 there, which is based on the income coming in. And under that new bill, I'm sure everybody's aware now, because I think we've talked about it a couple of times, but under that new bill 23, 60% of that monies in your account has to be allocated every year. So I think we would have done that with the land purchase, but I just feel that, again, I don't want to dwell on it, that we should show it as online or on page 12 as being a reserve contribution, because we do put it in at the end of the year, we're obligated to. So showing it as a blank, I don't think is correct.
Okay, I understand your point. I was just trying to find out where the rest of the information was on that.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I guess through you, Mr. Mayor, the question is, I guess what I'm hearing from Manish is it hasn't been done for the last 3 years, at least maybe before that. I guess the answer I want, and I'm sure Councillor Nash would want, is why hasn't it been done? Is there something that prohibits us from putting it in and out? Is there some, do our auditors say you can't do it? Or does the government say you can't do it? Or does someone say you can't do it? Because if it's simply an in and out, it has no effect on our budget. And so I guess the question is, why can't we do it? And if the answer is we can do it, then I think Councillor Nash is saying, let's do it. I don't care either way, quite frankly. It'd be nice to have the information in there, as long as we know that what comes in this year, we can't really predict, right? What applications come forward, what's approved, all those things, right? What developments take place, like a whole bunch of variables, right? So anyway, that's my feeling on it.
Yeah, well, I think we know, we can guess what the revenue was based on last year. So it's around $40,000, let's say, something like that, but we don't have to, the whole concept of a reserve, we don't have to spend it all in a given year. We have to spend some percentage of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, for the purposes of the expenses and revenue component of this budget, there's no reason why you can't show it on both sides, an equal number. And I think at this point, we just decide what that number is going to be. And the other item of spending 60% of the money that's allocated annually, that's another discussion. But I think the discussion we're having now is we'll show a dollar amount in revenue with an equal dollar amount in expenses. And it's just a matter of choosing what you'd like that number to be.
But through you, Mr. Mayor, Michelle, this would be for things like the Keene development, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, so we have no idea when Mr. Keene, for instance, is going to go forward, and I know he's got a year or two, but I mean, go forward and when would he actually pay the parkland dedication? When he sells the lots or well before that?
Well, through you, Mr. Mayor, I'd have to check on a subdivision. It may be a little bit different than some of the other planning matters that we deal with. And you're
Okay.
right, it's unpredictable, but if there's a trend of, say, 30 to, you can be conservative, you can say 25,000. I think we all agree that if it's on the revenue, it has to be shown as an equal amount on expenses, and then they balance each other out. And then at the end of the year, there's a journal entry, and it goes directly into the correct amount goes directly into the reserve. And then how it gets spent is how council's decision for next year's budget.
Well, through you, Mr. Mayor, it was 30 grand in 2021. It was 40 in 2022. Why don't we pick in between and put 35 in on both sides and move on?
Suits me. Yeah,
We've noted that. Thank you.
all right. Okay. So that takes us, I guess, back into, we were on page Sorry, page 12 of 19. We're kind of into the capital, in and out of the capital budget. But I'm looking at this, the numbers at the bottom of this page. You take a look at them. And look at, just take the budget numbers that are in our budget right now. So we have total municipal expenses of 6,345,339. We have a school board, with the total school board bill that has to be funded through tax is 979,263. And that total comes to 7.324. So if you look at those numbers, in round numbers, the municipal budget is 86%
Yes,
of the total tax bill. And the school board is 14%.
I got as far as that. Now I give it to greater minds than mine.
Okay, so if you raise the municipal portion by 5%, and you,
Well, let's use 6.5% because that's what Manish gave us. That comes back to 4.9, right? So we might as well deal with his example, right?
all right, well, all right, if you, let me try that.
Because that's what we're testing, right?
Well, okay, I tested a couple of different numbers here to give you an idea, but I can go and pull that one back up again too, I think.
Yeah, because Manish said
You said
6.5,
you said 6.5%, right?
right? And it comes back to 4.9% with the education taxes in it.
Not by my calculation, it doesn't.
What does
Wait.
it come back to?
Comes back to 5.6%, 5.5.
Bingo, bingo. That's what I thought.
Through you, Mayor.
You're go ahead, yeah.
I'm comparing a tax rate, what we calculated the previous year. Previous year total tax rate is for residential is 0.00650352 for the year 2022. When we factor 2023, residential tax rate will be 0.00529679 and plus education tax 0.00153. The total tax rate for the year 2023 approximately 0.00682679. I'm factoring this number and the previous year residential total tax number, the increase rate from the previous year to current year. That is 4.9%. That's what I'm calculating.
But how did you get those how did you come up with the tax rate number for this year?
The previous year tax rate for the residential is 0.00497352 multiplied by 1.0065. So we are getting 0.00529679. That is the residential taxes. We are adding education tax on that. 0.00153. So total tax rate for the residential will be 0.00682679. I'm comparing that number with the previous year number. So that is an increase, it's 4.9%.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, it seems like a very,
Big decrease.
yeah, Um,
1.6%.
so you took last year's, I'm just trying to figure, you took last year's residential tax rate. I don't know. I mean, this is maybe going to, take us a while. Like I track these things myself for my own taxes, right? And I have a giant spreadsheet that, so I do what Manish does. I take what he just did, which is I look at the actual numbers that are generated. I'm just questioning, you increased the last year's rate, which I don't even have it here. I would have to go get another file out to find it, but what did, tell me again, Manish, what did you say the 2022 residential rate was again?
Municipal rate is 0.00497352.
00497
352.
352. And what was the educational?
0.00153.
00153.
0.00153 for residential.
Okay.
Total tax rate will be 0.00650352.
0352, yeah, okay.
When
Yeah,
you put an increase on the residential tax, so that will be current year will be 0.00529679.
okay, just hang on a second. There's 0.00735 times, and you want to raise it by 6.5%, so 0.065. So you're saying that becomes, so that's a 5.5, that was a 6.5%, was it?
Yeah, 6.5% increase is coming 0.00529679. Plus
So, okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
no, I'm just seeing if I get the same thing. 5296 799, yeah. All right. And so this stays the same. 00153 00153. So that's 0.006 826
79.
799, yeah. All right, so
No,
divide that by 0
this is painful.
650352.
Mr. Mayor, I'm
I
wondering
think
if the desired end result might be the place that we go.
No, well, no, Michelle, I really let me do my simple math, George, okay?
Yeah.
I was pretty good at math, but it's been a long time ago. So if everyone looks at page 12 of 19, okay? The municipal expenses are 6345339. If everyone multiplies that times 6.5%, you come up with a number, okay? And that's what the total tax bill is going to go up in raw numbers, okay? And then you divide that by 7,324,603, which is the total amount of municipal and school taxes, right? It's 5.6%. It's not 4.9%. That's the simple math. It can't go down, it can't be 4.9%. I mean, all these 0.9246, you know, you could do that all you want, but I mean, if anyway, just divide or just multiply 6,345,339 times 0.065, and you come up with a number. And you divide that number by 7,324,603, which is the total, and it's 5.6%. I don't know, maybe call me stupid, but I don't get it.
Through you, if I might, Mr. Mayor.
I guess sorry, but before we do that, my question is though, is there some change taking place in the actual tax base itself to which this is being applied, right? We are assuming that there is some increase in the actual assessment, no?
You think it would be built into our budget?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, if I might. I know it might take staff some time to put all these numbers together, or maybe it does work out to 5.5%, but maybe a question for all of us on council would be, what would we want to see that number come out at once the school board is taken into account? Then that would give staff, you know, we might not know that number. Is it 1% more? Is it 2% more today? But what is the take of council members? What would be the highest number we'd like to see, including the school board, and then work from that? I think somebody had said earlier, McKellar was 5.9%. I don't know if we can maybe work from what number do we want to see and see what money we get afterwards from that. I'm just trying to come up with a different way. If we're not sure what that number is, what is the overall tax increase that we want to see with the school board taken into account?
Well, you want me to go first, I'll tell you. You and I are going to disagree, Scott. So we don't go to the highest common denominator. Through you, Mr. Mayor, we don't go to the highest. I told you what McKellar is. McKellar, I think, is different than we are, and they're the highest in the area. If you look at what Magnetowan's tax rate went up, it was 5%. If you look at Perry Sounds, it was 4.some-odd%. If you look at other surrounding communities, you're going to be hard pressed to get anyone higher than 6.5%. And I will tell you, unless some reason that I don't know right now, I will not be voting either today or on the 16th or the day we are in a public meeting for any tax increase on our good citizens that would take our budget up 1 cent more than 6.5%. We're not in a 7% world. And I've been around this council table for enough that you start present that and try to get fancy, which I know I said, let's count the education tax, but that doesn't mean we get a really good number. So we up it to 7% or something, right? Or plus 7%. People are suffering. It may not be me or necessarily the people around this council table, but we're charged with being responsible for everyone. And we found some monies, and I don't mind putting those monies back in reserves, like the whatever we found, the 12,000 in interest and stuff like that. But I'm not going 1 cent over. And that's just me. The rest of council can say, go for it. Go for 7. It'll bring it back to 5.7 and we'll sell it. I will vote against it. So thank you.
Yeah, and through you, Mr. Mayor, I actually agree with a lot of what you've just said, Councillor Lamb. I had a number in my mind of 6.5, which I think I'd said earlier today. So that's a number that I can swallow as doing what I think is best for everybody. And whatever that number might work out to as a school board number, I'm fine with that. But I do agree with you. I don't really want to see that number above 6.5%.
So we're in agreement.
Yeah.
Perfect. Great, thank you.
Well, I guess the question is, what is the net effect of what we've talked about so far? Now, keep in mind, we haven't gone through any of these capital projects either. I mean, there's a fair amount of red ink in there, right? But I mean, it's not clear to me what we've done so far. We increased legal. We basically increased legal, put back the library. The 5,500, and we've increased legal up to 85,000.
Yeah, and through you, Mr. Mayor, I think
Yep.
there might be, staff might see a little bit of saving on the Bethic monitoring, and the loan item might have been lowered from, I'm rounding 20,000
yeah.
down to 10,000. I think that's the gist of the 4 or 5 main items that have been done.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying is I don't know that we've if our tax rate was calculated at what was it originally? 5.5. Well, on this particular budget, it's what, 5.5%?
Mayor, that's correct.
Okay, so 5.5%. So we haven't. If you add all those changes
happening?
together, so
Anything?
far that we're probably at around somewhere around 6% now.
Sorry, I lost them. It's still on, right? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, you're here.
Through you,
Would you-
Mr. Mayor, yeah, I think you're pretty close on that right now. We might
I
be.
lost connection for a while. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
You are back. I think we might be close to 6%
hear
of what
anything.
we've done. But that would give a little leeway if we were at 6.5%, but I think
Hello?
Council Nam might be having some audio problem there.
Yeah, I think it's an audio problem because he's still showing. Councillor Lamb, can you hear me? I'm gonna say that's no.
I guess I got something from Brian says I can hear you, but I can't hear you guys, so I don't know what I gotta do here
Yeah, we can hear you.
to speak. But I know. Michelle, I'm gonna go out and come back in, so just let me in when I come back, sorry. Am I back?
We can hear you.
Oh, I can hear you now. Thank you, everyone. Sorry about that.
All right. Yeah. All right. So yeah, where we were at was I was just kind of estimating that the changes that we've made so far to the operating budget are probably have got us up at an increase around 6% because we're not, we're a little more than the 5.5% we started, but not much, probably not a whole percentage.
Yeah. And
Well, I don't know if there's any, I mean, we haven't done the capital, and I guess we should take a really quick look at it. It's hard to know without going through. Is there anything that's glaring that stands out in the capital pages that?
through you, Mr. Mayor, I was just gonna say, out of that other remaining 0.5% from what you said, I think you were pretty correct on. Part of that could come off of the those two projects, which was the Maple Island and Alds, that was going to be debt financed. So maybe that remaining 0.5%, give or take, could go. If you're getting to the capital budgets, just on the I'm not sure if we're going through it page by page, but just on the very first page, page 13, I think it's more of just a small, I'll call it edit to a line item. We have a new line item added, which was lake planning initiatives. If you remember, we added that the last time. And I think what we'd spoken to a little bit on that 15,000 was maybe we can start with some lake monitoring, being some of the water testing and things like that, or down that road. So I think if we say lake planning initiatives, I just, if the public sees this, I don't want it to think that we're starting to do lake planning in the sense of plans for each individual lake, but starting with monitoring of some of the water, which will lead to, of course, some of the lake planning. So I don't know if we just want to maybe put in brackets monitoring for now, just to better describe what we were thinking, if that makes any sense.
We've noted that, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So is there anything else in the capital budget that you want to?
I have one other item if nobody else has anything first. And I know I've already talked about it before, and Dave, I'm going to apologize in advance because I know it's something that you said you really wanted, but I'm just going to give my quick little comment on it, and then I understand if it still remains here. And it's the water tank. I know it's going to make staff's job a little easier for the next year or two. As I understand, the existing tank is having some leaks. I don't know if that can be repaired on a short-term basis, but I just come back to the point, and I just want to say this, and then we can move on with it. That when it comes to the fire truck, which we will be replacing in the next 2 years, I know the pumper truck has an internal pump that fills up from the lakes. It's high pressured when it comes out. If we did something with that fire truck down the road, I know sometimes the watering of roads can just be from gravity feed, but if not, that truck could be reconditioned. I think it holds 1,200 gallons, if I'm correct.
I'm sorry, Councillor Nash, but we had this discussion in the last meeting, and we moved past this one. The thing is still there because the Works Department has told us that this is not an option for us, and we can't. I'm sorry, but we can't keep going back over that same items.
Mr. Mayor, sorry about that, but I would ask that you please let me finish when I am speaking. I do have the right to speak. And the reason I was bringing it up was because it was said that it had no pressure, the water truck or the fire truck. And in actuality, the fire truck has a lot of pressure.
I'm on a phone call.
I'm simply bringing it up because I know
Sorry.
the Works Department is saying that they would like it. But I do see a fire truck, which you see in many other municipalities being used. And I'm just bringing it up as a sense of, I think personally, it's a waste of $42,000 if we have a fire truck that we can use in 2 years. I understand that it's a council decision and I am only one vote, but I do have the right to give my opinion. That's all. And that's all I was trying to do.
All right, well, thank you. We've heard it, and it doesn't, it's not, you're certainly not going to change my mind as a result of it. It was a good
Well,
comment the first time, but
Is she gone?
No, Val, I'm on a Zoom call. Sorry. Bye-bye. Sorry, people.
so, yeah, sorry.
Well, I think Councillor Nash has every right to bring it up. I can tell you that I'm concerned overall about what could be a $500,000 purchase by our municipality, and that's a big nut. I forget what the fire chief, if the fire chief's on the call, what we could expect to get for that used pumper. as a trade-in. What kind of monies are we looking at? Is the fire chief on here?
Yes, he is.
Could you answer that, Bob? Generally speaking, what you would expect if we said, here's our truck, what would you give us as a trade-in?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. The last time I had spoke to one of the manufacturers, they were looking at between 35 and 40,000.
Okay, okay. Okay,
We did hear the argument, though, from our staff that a fire truck does not perform the function that is necessary for this water tanker that we're talking about. So that's, I mean, it's not, maybe I'll ask our manager of public works to repeat what he said the last time around, but
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Just to speak to it quickly, I don't want to spend too much time on it, but I'm not sure what the business plan is that Councilor Nash is presenting. The annual cost for licensing, I'm sure you've considered, is considerable for a heavy duty vehicle. The annual cost for maintenance and annual certification of that, I'm sure you've considered. The cost of the trade-in of the fire truck, I'm sure you've considered. To me, in my mind, just doing math real quick, that's a big step for financial impact to the municipality. Like, that costs us quite a bit of money. So when you're talking about saving money and you want to add the annual cost of the licensing, insurance, annual maintenance, annual certification, and then the cost of the vehicle itself that we lose out in trade, that seems to be quite a step. And at the same time, you would reduce the operational capacity by more than half of what we have right now. And that cost would be an ongoing basis. Every year we need a water truck, we'd have to pay those maintenance. The water tank, of course, is a plastic tank and doesn't need to be licensed and doesn't need to be certified every year. Doesn't need to be insured. So I just don't know what you're getting at for business plan. Maybe we could discuss that offline and get back to it, but revisiting this, I think we're just going over the same old numbers. It doesn't make sense financially.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. The last time that we spoke about it is because it didn't have any pressure. But the fire truck does have pressure, so it seems to be different reasons at different times. Anyways, like I said, I just wanted to talk about it and move on. It doesn't have DEF fluid, so it's a lot cheaper than running other trucks. But anyways, I know I was going to say it and I knew we were still going to buy it. I'm sure it has a life expectancy. The plastic tank has maintenance and everything like that, just like everything else does. But I'll leave it, and obviously we'll carry on and purchase the water tank, because I think the rest of council is wanting it. I just wanted to make my opinion known. That was all. Thank you.
all right, thanks.
Feel free to reach out, Dave, whenever you want.
Can we, is there anything else that you want to raise under capital before we, because we got some other things to do after this meeting.
yeah, no, other than to,
Discussion, folks.
other than to say, no, nothing other than to say thanks, David. You've kind of convinced me. I always, when we started talking about this, thought of Phil Swift, the guy with the black tape, out there on a water tank, kind of patching the leaks. But anyway, let's go buy the water truck. Thank you.
All right. So, is there anything else anybody has? I want to try and wrap this budget discussion up if we can. Okay, if there isn't, let's see where we are. In terms of moving forward, what do we have? We made a relatively small number of changes. We're going to get another version that reflects those changes, and I guess we will see what the final percentage increase is as a result of that? Is that Madam CAO or Mr. Treasurer, or that? Do you have what you need to go to take us to the next step here?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've got some notes. There's been a few refinements to this. I think most importantly, we want to establish the overall tax rate increase and what that is based on the information that we have today and where council's comfort level is. The final tax rate, including school board, it would be helpful if council let us know what that number is, and then we can work backwards. And if there's monies that end up in reserve for various reasons because of that, then you'll see that on May 16th. The plan on May 16th is generally to have council approve the budget in principle and direct staff to go to a public meeting. And that takes us to the next level of the public meeting, and then working with Opta and getting the tax bills out. So it's a bit of a lengthy process.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Michelle. Yeah, the way I read it, maybe I read it wrong, is the budget will come back at a 6.5% increase in the municipal budget, and whatever it goes back to, as if you combine the school tax, it goes back to. Well, it's looks like it's either 5.6% or 4.9%. And that will be what it'll be. But we should use the monies up to 6.5%. And I take it that takes out the 12,000 interest for the pool this year. So that's monies that could be put into the budgets, into the reserves, I would think. And I would think the reserve that it should go into is probably the asset management plan, which is asking us to put in a lot more than we're putting in. So I don't know whether that sort of generally reflects what council thinks or not, but I think it does. And it should take 5 minutes on May 16th to say, good, call the public meeting, and away we go, right?
Thank you, Councillor Lamb. If that's the will of council, then that will be Manisha's marching orders for the next week or so.
Okay, I don't know. Do you want to, do we want to test this when we come out of committee of the whole or not? I guess we should come out of committee of the whole since we don't have motions on the floor at this point. So I'll ask you again in a second. If there's no further discussion, can I get a motion to reconvene to a regular meeting, please?
I'll make the motion.
6:04 p.m. Councillor Lamb moves, seconded by.
I'll second, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Woods. Do you want to call the roll, Madam Clerk? Yes.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Bray,
Yes.
Councillor Lamb,
Yes.
Councillor Nash.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Woods.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor Comrie.
Yes.
That motion is carried.
So thank you, we're back in regular session. Matters arising, do you want a motion that we limit we limit the percentage increase in the municipal portion to 6.5% or some? Steve, do you want to do that, or do you want to just leave it based on the understanding that we had from the?
It's entirely up to you, Mr. Mayor. You can do a motion and then it's there for the record, but you can also have a clerk's note for the record based on the discussion. This is an important matter. So my suggestion is you do a motion that speaks to what you were saying, is that a maximum up to 6.5% municipal tax increase
All right, well, let me try to start something that the 2022 municipal tax increase be limited to 6.5%. Would somebody like to move that?
I'll move it.
Hey, Councilor Lamb,
I'll
Second.
second.
seconded by Councilor Bray. Any discussion?
If I may, Mr. Mayor, is it clear that the 6.5% is not, is on the municipal budget component only?
Yes, municipal, well, I said municipal tax increase, which really should be the tax rate increase, I guess is what you're talking about, right?
On the municipal component of the budget?
Municipal,
Just for, if someone's looking at this in the future for clarity.
all right. Component, let me say component of the tax increase, how about that? I had 2022 municipal tax increase, but the 2022 municipal component of the tax increase be limited to 6.5%. Would that clarify it for you?
You may just want to read it one more time, just for clarity, Mr. Mayor.
That the 2022 municipal component of the tax increase be limited to 6.5%. So it might come out at 6.4 or something like that, but it's gonna be, that's what it's. It won't exceed that when we get to approve it. I guess I'm asking the mover and seconder, is that your understanding? If we got it or not? You want to
Yeah,
say something else?
I think that captures it.
Okay. All right, is there any further discussion about it? All right, so I guess we need this roll call again, please, Madam CAO.
Thank you, Councillor Bray,
Yes,
Councillor Lamb,
Yes.
Councillor Nash,
Yes,
Councillor Woods,
Yes,
and Mayor Comrie.
Yes.
Motion is carried.
Okay, we are now then in a position to go into a closed session. If you do you want to recess or do you want to just carry on?
I only need 2 minutes, but are we in, I didn't get another number to call in.
No, I think all we were going to do is make sure that the people who shouldn't, we can use the same number as long as we remove as long as the people who wouldn't normally participate in the meeting exit the meeting, right?
That's
We can
correct.
see
There's
who's
no
on.
new
There are no
members.
members of the public in this meeting, and there haven't been from the beginning. So we just have a couple of staff members who I see one has gone already and
But they can't come back in, right?
not unless Michelle lets them in.
Okay, yeah, I just want to make sure we're secure, that's all.
Yeah.
could we have
Would
Mr. Mayor, could we have a 2-minute break?
Yeah, we can have a 5-minute break if you'd like. Let's,
Perfect.
well, all right. Do you want to go into close first and then we'll,
I think that would be helpful, Mr. Mayor, and then the recording
Yeah.
will stop.
yeah, let's move, let's get a mover and seconder to go into closed session, please. Councillor Woods moves, seconded by. Anybody?
I'll
I'll-
second.
All right, Councillor Lamb, got you first, I guess. At 6:10 PM, roll call, please.
Councillor Bray,
Here? Yes,
Councillor Lamb.
Sorry.
Councillor Lamb,
Yes,
Councillor Nash,
yes.
Councillor Woods,
yes.
and Mayor Comrie.
Yep.
That motion is carried. We are in closed session.
And we'll take a 5-minute recess.